I wanted to come on and say hello and answer any questions and give you an update as to where we are on the project. So we managed to get going quite quickly, actually, after having got the investment and bought the site. We started on the 9th of May. So I think we completed on the site sort of March time. So that was slightly quicker than we had allowed for that lead-in time, which is all good because we're sort of shrinking the program down as best we can at that stage. So I think we allowed 3 months in that first phase to get from buying the site to getting on site. So that's good, and it also meant we started at a brilliant time of the year. And actually the weather's really been on our side. So the initial part of the groundworks phase has gone very well. So I have got some photos which I was going to share, and do at any point chip in if you've got any questions. So hopefully that is up on this. Can you see that, Abigail?
Yes, I can see that.
Brilliant. Yeah. Do ship it. Any questions at all?
Is that taken from the entrance or near the entrance?
It is, yes. So as you come, and I could bring the site plan up. I have to come out of here and get a site plan up. But yeah, as you come in, this is on the left-hand side. So the bit you can see in front of you, these mounds of soil will be lower eventually, but they are. We're stockpiling the soil there, which has come out from the rest of the site. And that's the public open space area, which is on the left-hand side of the road as you come in. But the position of the road that you can see there is the position of the road. That's the base of the road. And we'll see a bit. In fact, does that, when I zoom, does that zoom for you? Brilliant. So you can see, do you see my cursor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So these here are the drainage, the manhole covers for the drainage. And you can just see down here, those are the road gullies.
Yeah.
So the size of the road there, and then this road comes. It carries on round and across here. But then there's a turning head here, and then again you can see the gullies at the ends of the road. So they put in at the moment all of the mains drainage for the road. So all the surface water and any foul drainage that's in the road is in place there. So that's that one. This is just a bit further down, but looking at the road, you can start to see on this side over here where they're getting the levels right for the houses, so that they're starting to put the levels in as where the houses will be built. But I think there's some better pictures later on of those levels. That gives you a slightly better idea there, because you can see they're going to be. I think this garden's up the top here and the houses down here. But as you go around the corner here, you can see the different levels of the houses. So they're just setting all those levels now. And it's again further round the site, so we're coming round to the bit on the western boundary. As they come in, this was they're bringing in all this material here was for the base of the road. This is all which actually quite excitingly, I found out when I was on site. So ordinarily with an adopted road, they would always insist on what they call primary material, so material that's not recycled. So it's quarried from the ground and graded, and that's what they insist on. But for some reason, they've managed to get the local authority to approve using a recycled material. I suspect there's some cost benefit for the ground worker, but it's also nice to know that we are using recycled material instead of newly quarried material.
That's great.
Yeah. This is then so looking back up to this is the entrance to the site here. And that very first photo, I can't quite see it, was I was sort of standing over here. That's the site cabin. So as soon as you come in to the site on your left is where the site cabin is. And these are the existing houses on the previous development. This is almost just turning around, so standing there but then turning around, looking 180 degrees back down.
What are the little circles?
I think those are just where they stored the manhole rings, so the big concrete rings that will now be underneath. I think that's right. Yeah, but when I looked at it, initially, because of these pins, I assumed it was something significant, but I think it's just where they stored them. But the pins are significant. I think that is the position of a house.
Yeah.
Because that's certainly an area that would be the house. This is the end of the adopted road. So the adopted road finishes here, but then it continues on as a private road into that bit there.
Sorry, Justin, what was on that previous picture just now? What's the frame in the right at the bottom of the screen?
That's a good question. I don't actually know, Davin.
Well, it's probably just the delivery frame, isn't it?
It might be. It might be for the drainage pipes. It could well be. Yeah, I'm not sure. This is then in the very bottom corner. So initially, we were looking at photos. We were sort of up around this corner. Those are the big soil mounds there. So this is looking back up the site, and here you can see where all the road drainage is coming through.
Yeah,
you can see a bit more of that because they haven't put the base of the road down, and all the connections. So these are the manhole rings that they leave them much higher out just so they can be seen and they don't get crushed. And that's what's lovely to see on this site. They do seem to have really, they're organising it well. They're looking after the materials and working fast. I haven't got it. There was a bit of health and safety up here that was very impressive.
the site looks so big now that it's.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. And I'm not sure I've got so down to the right are the areas of sort of further public open space that are there, and that we haven't seen those yet.
It's a very tidy site as well. It's very clean.
It is, yes, yeah. I did. I don't know if I've got one of the machines. I don't know I have actually, but no, I know when I left the two diggers here, they were just lined up side by side, all neatly with their buckets down, and it seems minor, but I think it shows a pride in work.
Mm.
So here again, this is another plot at the end, the bungalow at the end. It's going to be in this area all set out. I think that those are the main ones. I think these others aren't really that. They're just a duplication. So yeah, that's the site as a whole, really, as it stands. I think this was a Wednesday last week, so it will have moved on in the last week, but it certainly gives a flavour of where it's at.
So how long has it taken to get to this position?
This is about 5 or 6 weeks.
That's quite substantial in that time, isn't it?
They're at the moment they're ahead of programme. I fully expect them to need that buffer to allow for. They've been asking for. So we have made some changes so during the process of value engineering the project, we checked. For example, we had the render finish was going to be just battened onto the timber frame. So you have the timber frame. You batten onto the timber frame, and then you render board and render onto that. So it's quite a quick system, but it's a more expensive system, it seems. And so we've had to revert back to cavity, a full block of block work, and then we render onto the block work. So it's meant we've just had to go back to the design team, get them to update drawings and dimensions and things, and come back. So it's little things like that. The ground workers would ordinarily have had that information. We've said that hold fire, we'll just update it and then we'll send it on to you. And so they probably have to be slightly out of sequence as a result of that. And so I'm expecting that the buffer they've got we'll probably use. But the fact that they've done so much of this earthworks during the good weather, they've got drainage in the ground, it's just, yeah, it's really, really good. And the other thing I think I mentioned just before you came on, Abigail, is that because of the stage we're at, we're doing a lot of digging in the ground. We're seeing what the ground conditions are like, and so far they've been very good. We've had one surprise, but that was more that there was some material from the scheme that you can see up there. The developers who did that one had access to this field, and they had dug and buried bits of rubble and things. So that we've had to deal with, but it's not been a major issue. And considering where we are, we're pleased with the conditions that we've come across. Yeah.
And so what happens next? So how much more time do you have allocated for the groundworks, and where does it go from there?
So it was an 18-week program for the ground workers before we then come on site.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they say they're what, 5 or 6 weeks in. So there's another 3 months or so for them to complete. And at that point, we'll probably come on with, hopefully, with timber frame. So what the ground workers will get it up to the point where the road is pretty much done. We'll base course the road, but we won't put the final top coat down. We'll probably put curb. I think we're putting curb race in, so a sort of sacrificial curb in, and then we'll put the final curbs in at the end. Otherwise, they get damaged throughout the build. All the drainage should be in. All of the plot foundations will be dug, and the masonry up to damp proof course with the block and beam floors will be done during that phase. So we should, and all the levels will be sort of set, and retaining walls should be in. So it's the bulk of the groundworks phase will be done in that 18 weeks. The bits that will be left remaining are the more the landscaping elements at the end, so paving and topsoiling and turfing and things. Those would be within their package, but left to the end.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah. It's looking really lovely. It's really nice to actually see the site progressing.
It helps. It was a beautiful sunny day as well, isn't it? Everything looks. Like...
That's true. If it was absolutely tipping, it might be different.
Yeah.
Is there any more in terms of the site update, Justin, before we sort of move on to?
No, I think that. I mean, if you've got any questions, or Abigail, if you've got any questions, do say. But no, that's a brief. I mean, at this stage, because it is just one contractor on site with one subcontractor, then it is very much just this element. As it goes through, you get all the different elements going on at the same time. But yeah, that's at this stage. That's about it.
Great. Okay. Are you happy to stop sharing your screen? Is that okay?
Absolutely fine.
Thank you. So one of the reasons for arranging this call was also to talk about the updates moving forwards. So Justin had got in touch with us and basically said, it'd be really nice to meet the investors and just make sure that we're meeting their expectations in terms of updates. And if there's anything specific that people wanted to learn or understand, then to actually raise it and see if it fits in with the program. Would that be a fair assessment, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then obviously to meet investors as well, and just to get to know them a little bit better.
If there's information that people are particularly keen to get, then let us know. Otherwise, we can continue to sort of do the updates as we have done, and we also discussed holding it perhaps a few more of these at certain sort of key points throughout the project. Yeah, first of all, I just wanted to have the opportunities to find out what people are after, so that we're if we can tailor it, we can tailor it.
And so from a schedule perspective, we're slightly ahead, it seems like.
At this stage, yes, we are. So if you look at a program now, we are marginally ahead. I've never seen a project carry that through to the end, and so I sort of, I say it knowing that we'll need that buffer at some point for something. Yeah. Yes, the quick answer is at this stage we are ahead.
But it's probably nice to sort of claw back some time, because it will be needed elsewhere.
Indeed, yes, yeah.
And from a cost perspective, I assume we're on target. So
yes, we are. Yes, again, at the moment, I mean, in some respects, I suppose we would expect to see the contingency usage in this groundworks phase used more heavily than perhaps throughout. So we might say, of the contingency, if we were 30% of the contingency spent at this stage, I wouldn't be too concerned, even though in terms of a spend, that might be slightly ahead of 30% of the cost of where we're at, but just because of the nature of the groundworks. So the fact that we Actually, I need to check. I think other than this bit of material that we found, I don't think we have got any major variations to the contract. We spent a lot of time with this particular groundworks contractor, pricing back and forth, value engineering, and they came up with ideas. And so I'm hoping that will pay dividends, because we've done a lot of work, and that they did an incredibly detailed pricing document for us. So hopefully it'll. We're slightly ahead. So I think at the moment on a cost perspective, I'm quite pleased.
That's really good, because also if there's any surprises, typically it's because they're under the ground, and because you can't see under the ground, and everything else is above, and you have a lot more control of stuff like that. So that's really good. That's really good.
And we're also trying, in terms because of the material price increases, we're trying to let a whole load more packages at this early stage. So even packages that we don't, we know they won't be on site until the end of the year, we've got them to price. We're going to send, we're doing pre-let meet, or the construction team are doing the pre-let meetings with all those subcontractors, and then hoping to get the contracts out to them so we can place them and just try and fix as best we can at prices in a market which is rising so rapidly. So yeah, it still remains a risk area, the cost of materials, and so but that's what we're doing at the moment. So we think the way to mitigate that as best we can.
Makes perfect sense. Well, thank you so much. I think what we'll do is we will follow up by email anyway. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you soon. Bye-bye.